If you have a Bible, open it with me to the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 1 is where we are going to begin. It's always important when you read the scriptures to begin in the beginning. I'll explain this in a moment, but most of us, we begin reading the Bible in Genesis 3, not Genesis 1. And Genesis 1 starts with this pronouncement of blessing that is over your life, this original blessing that comes to you. And it comes to me just by the very nature of being in the world. There is a blessing over your life. And we tend to read the Bible, we open up the Bible, and we think about it like, well, this is a religious text. Like God gave us this because he just wanted us to have the right religion. And we stack it up next to other religious texts and say, well, this is, God gave us this is the right religious book. And God wants us to have the right religion in our head. Look, religion is all about separation. Religion is helpful in terms of determining who's in, who's out, who goes to heaven, who goes to hell, who the good people are, who the bad people are. Ironically, our world right now is more religious than ever because we're constantly chronically separating. We're really good at separation, but the scriptures are not a religious book in that sense. They're not there for the purpose of separation. The scriptures, and you see this from the very outset of Genesis 1, they are an invitation from the God of life to you to come and taste and see that the Lord is good, to come and taste and see that you are not cursed, you are blessed. And the God of life is announcing and pronouncing over you a blessing that he wants you to receive. Just by the very nature of being a human being and you are breathing in air today, there is a blessing for you. And it's the God of life giving you this blessing when you open up the scriptures. Pastor Ken did a phenomenal job last week, and one of the things that he shared with us was that the number 7 is the number of completion, the number of wholeness. And as you read through this, you start to see that in the story. Genesis chapter 1 is a poetic, lyrical creation account, and it begins this way. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Now, if you know the story, you know what happens next over the next 7 days, or the next 7 days of creation. God, the first 3 days of creation, he makes essentially the rooms of the house. He makes the vast expanses of the sky. He makes the seas. He makes the land. And then he spends the next 3 days filling up these rooms. He fills that which he has created. He creates vegetation. He puts the stars in the sky. He creates people. And then on the 7th day, he rests. But over and over again, he gives a dignity to that which he creates. He cannot help it as God. He blesses that which he creates. Whatever he has made, he blesses. And you see this in the lyrical nature of Genesis 1. He makes the stars, he says it is good. He makes the ocean, he says it is good. He makes the sea creatures, he blesses them, says it is good. And then the culmination of this, in chapter 1, verse 28, he says this about you and about me. He says, God blesses them, that's you, that's me, God blessed them, and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. You'll figure it out, God said. Might be a little early for that joke. Fill the earth and subdue it. I'll come back to it in a minute. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Now, we'll see this throughout the course of this series. And I'm going to teach you a few things, and then we're going to come back and apply it. But the blessing of the blessing is for seed and soil. And this will come back next week when we look at Abraham, the blessing that comes to him. Seed and soil. Now, what do I mean by that? Seed, lineage, family, generations that you just built into your life. You can have children, you have family, you come from somebody, you are someone's offspring. There is a built-in blessing that is there. And soil. Fill the earth, subdue it, have dominion over creation, get dirt under your fingernails. It's all anointed, it's all blessed, it's all good. Seed and soil, there is a blessing to having family who loves you. There is a blessing to be able to get dirt under your fingernails, have dominion over the earth. It's all part of the blessing, seed and soil. Now, we said 7 is the number of completion. As you read through this, at a deeper level, when you read this in the Hebrew language, which it comes to us in, 7, the number of completion, the number of wholeness. The first sentence of the Hebrew Scriptures has 7 words. It breaks down in English if you're counting right now. But in Hebrew, there's 7 words. The second sentence has 14 words, 7 times 2. 21 times in Genesis 1, the word earth appears 7 times 3. 7 times it says, and God saw, which is a statement of blessing, that he's blessing that which he sees. 7 times is the phrase, and it was so, which is a statement of finality, blessing. As you read through this, you begin to get a sense the author had some divine help. There's this lyrical, beautiful nature to which God is saying in Genesis 1, blessed, 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 good, good, good. There is a dignity to all of creation. He's calling it all good. It's just blessing everywhere. The seas, the ocean. Perhaps this is why, for some of us, you go to the mountains and you breathe in the mountain air and you can see for miles, and you would say in that moment, it's like everything can be wrong, but in that moment for you, the whole world gets put back together. Well, of course, all of creation has a dignity and a beauty to it. Maybe for you, you look at the oceans rolling with an incredible tide, and you feel like in that moment your soul gets put back together, and it feels oddly spiritual. You don't even know how to explain it. Well, of course, there is a dignity, a goodness, a wonder, a blessing to all of creation. Now, when we think of something being good, we think of it as an achievement. We think of it's a goal. She's good at soccer. He's good at math. They've achieved. They've accomplished. And at a certain level, that is true. He's good looking. She's good at this. They're good at that. And at a certain level, that is true. But in the book of Genesis, blessing is not an achievement or a goal. It's an origin. And you have to let that settle into your spirit. There is a original blessing that you receive when you open up the Scriptures that's just there for you, there for the taking. That there is this constant sense God is blessing. He's giving this away to you, and that's original to you. It's your origin. You're actually born into blessing. And that matters because for most people in the world, and maybe this is you, your starting point in life is not blessing or goodness. Your starting point is shame. And you go through life thinking about all the things you don't have. You go through life thinking about who has more than you. You go through life thinking about the curses that have come to you. You're thinking about all the problems that you have. You live with a scarcity mentality, not a blessing mentality. And you go through life going, why don't I have this? And perhaps it's because you started reading the Scriptures in Genesis 3, not Genesis 1. And if you start reading it in Genesis 3, we'll get there in a second, that's the rebellion chapter. That's where everything starts to unravel and become unhinged. But that's not your origin. Your origin is actually in blessing. There is an inherent goodness to you. And if you start reading the Bible in Genesis chapter 3, you will only think about who you're not. Well, I'm not good enough. I'm not spiritual enough. I'm not good at this. But if you start reading in Genesis chapter 1, God is trying to tell you who you actually are. There is an original blessing to your life. Do you start reading the Bible in Genesis 1 or in Genesis 3? Do you think about who you're not? Or have you stepped into the beauty and the wonder of who you actually are? There is a blessing to your life. There is a blessing to breathing in and breathing out dirt under your fingernails living in this world.